guys? It's Skill up here with another Division video. I wanted to put out a video just talking about the Last Stand game mode, showing a bit of gameplay and also talking about how it works and providing just a few perspectives on it, because obviously I've been fairly vocal about PvP for a while and I've been looking forward to this, so I just wanted to share my perspective on it. So first of all, I have to say I think it's a really great start for where Division PvP can go. The basic premise of it is that you're dropped on a map. There's 16 players in total. It's 8v8. And you're each in, there's 2 squads of 4 on each side, and basically you're dropped in there. It's a part of the dark zone, so it's the map is actually just the existing dark zone that but then obviously they just take one chunk of it and that becomes the playable game area. Within that area there are actually 3 territories. There's A, B, and C, and within each of those territories there are 3 different capture points, right? In order to score points, you need to own a territory, and in order to own a territory, you need to own those 3 capture points within it. If you don't own one of those capture points, but you own the other 2, you're not scoring any points from that territory. You can erect turrets to protect your territory at the home bases at A and C, but not in B. And you can also erect a pulse that will sort of pulse enemies in the area so that you can keep an eye out for them and track them down more easily. You can also PvE while you're there, because NPCs spawn. You can farm them and clear landmarks for bonus points. And then you can spend some of those credits, because you actually accumulate SHD intel, it's called, and you can spend that stuff to give yourself points boosters for capturing objectives or killing other players and that sort of thing. So there's a PvE element to this as well that kind of amplifies the experience and broadens it for PvE players. So that's the basics of how it works. And I guess we should probably just talk about now, how it actually plays. Look, I think it's a good start. I think there are some serious problems with it though, and I know that these problems are not going to be addressed before the game is released. So I think we just have to be ready for those. I kind of want to set expectations with people for when it releases. First of all, I think everyone is unanimously agreed that the map is ludicrously large, like completely crazy large. It feels like 4 times larger than it actually should be, and I really feel like a lot of the time I'm spending just running around the map as opposed to fighting, especially if I want to try and sneak into the enemy's base to disrupt their capture points, right? If I want to go from my typical spawn point on my side of the map to run to the enemy spawn point, it takes 2.5-3 minutes to do that. And then when I finally get there, I typically need to take out one of their turrets which they've erected, which is typically enough time for an enemy player to get back there and kill me basically, or a number of them can respawn in that area and they can take it back very simply. So it's very rare that you see points A and C spawn flipped, so to speak. They get captured by the enemy. You do see certainly some tussles happening there, but when that happens, it typically means that B is typically really exposed at that time, because they've had to direct 2 or 3 people from B to go and cap your point, and that means that it just doesn't feel strategic. It doesn't feel like people are able to confidently hold that center area while also pushing into the enemy's base. I just feel like you feel quite powerless as you run around this game mode, because there's so much space to traverse and there are so many points to capture. There are literally 9, 10, 11 points to capture if you include the 2 points boosters, and they're all so spread out. So it kind of just feels like a lot of the time there's just not a lot of action going on, and there's just it's like a running simulator. And I don't mean that cynically. As I said, I appreciate what it is, I like what it's trying to do, and I think it's a great start, but I just think if we condense these maps down to half the size, things are going to be a lot better off. I feel like the inclusion in PvE is also not ideal, allowing people just to run off to a completely different, completely separate, far-flung corner of the map and just kill NPCs to farm for points is kind of not the most rewarding gameplay loop. It doesn't feel great. Again, we already have a really good high-functioning PvE game. I'm a bit confused why they wanted to bring this into this game mode. Sure, they wanted to attract some PvE players to the mix, but I actually don't think it will achieve that. I think it just kind of makes the whole experience a little bit awkward and a little bit confusing as well, because you don't really know if you're doing the right thing, if you're clearing a landmark. Should you be clearing a landmark, or should you be going to help your buddies clear B? And do you really need these points? How much of a difference does it really make? All of that sort of stuff stuff, I think is just not great. If we had like 3 times the number of players in the map, I'd probably say this works, because then you can kind of like have some good chunky battles at B while you have a small contingent going off and farming. But there just aren't enough players on the map to go and spare 2 to 3 people to go and do this PvE farming. So for that reason, I don't really think it quite works. So the other thing that Last Stand brought to the table was gear normalization. So the way this works is that when you load in, all of your stats are max rolled. So you know how like you have a chest piece that could have like 1271 stamina, for example, but your chest piece only has like 1200. Well, what they do is they just max it out, so it assumes that you have 1271 stamina, right? That's how they've done it across all your gear pieces, and your weapons roll for max damage, and you know, your weapon talents are activated if you've got the right stat set up for it. But what they have done that is a really, really bad decision is that they have maxed your armor to 70% to keep time to kill at a reasonable rate. This is the worst way they could have done this, because what it does is it makes assault rifles a must have in this game mode, because of the fact that they have enemy armor damage on them, and relatively speaking, it's just, you would never run without that now. Like, SMGs are actually in a much better place now because of the base increase in crit on gear, and because Pulse is now much stronger in a stacked skill power setup. But you would never use an SMG in this game mode because everyone has so much goddamn armor that, you know, an assault rifle is basically a minimum requirement. The exception to that, obviously, is the Historian, which we'll talk about in a later video, because that is a hugely disruptive weapon in the current game. But again, that's for a later video. And I guess the other related point to this is that time to kill is still very high. It's very hard to kill a target from range. You really need to be within about 10 meters of them to bring them down. And even then, it still feels like it takes a little bit too long. So I really feel like they could reduce this armor and reduce it down to base armor levels so that enemy armor damage isn't quite so attractive and time to kill comes down. And if they find that time to kill is so short, then they can tweak the PvP modifier in that game mode so that assault rifles don't become these must-have weapons and you still get to control your time to kill. So I think those are the changes that I would recommend from a PvP combat sort of perspective to really bring some balance to this game mode. So this is a really quick video, guys. I just wanted to provide some high-level thoughts on it. Overall, I think it's good. I do enjoy playing it. Can I see myself playing lots and lots of it forever? Honestly, no at this point, purely because I just think that it still needs some refinement before it gets to the point where it's a truly great PvP mode. But like I said, it's a really good start. I really respect it. I definitely plan to dabble in it from time to time. And I really hope that you guys enjoyed as well. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Be really interested to hear your perspective on it, because obviously everyone's going to have a different view. I put up a Twitter poll recently just asking people what they thought of the game mode, and I think the reception kind of echoed my response, which is that you know, 64% of people haven't played it, 15% of people think it's awesome, 14% of people think it's okay, and 7% think it's terrible. So you're kind of seeing that there's a bit of a mixed response there between it being okay and it being great. I'm sure lots of people see the potential of it, but they're just waiting for these further changes to come through, particularly around the size of the map, particularly around things like time to kill, and there's a whole bunch of other stuff around sort of like PvP mechanics and the seeker mines and turrets and skill power and the Historian and smart cover, all that sort of stuff as well, which we're not going to talk about now because that's for a later video, but rest assured I will be discussing that soon. Anyway guys, thank you very much for watching. If you liked the video, do drop it a like and be sure to subscribe for lots and lots of 1.6 coverage now that the game mode is out and 1.6 is in much better shape. I have a whole bunch of videos planned for this week, so keep an eye out for those. Thanks very much for watching, take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.